Hello everyone! Previously in the channel I have reshelled this Pro controller here. It's an original Pro controller that was restored to working condition. As you can see, the old shell was pretty beaten up. But still, this Pro controller didn't feel very good. It just doesn't have the same quality of an original controller. The buttons are a bit hard and noisy. And for a long time I wanted to have the original Xenoblade 2 version of this controller. And as you may know, the market is filled with fake Pro controllers everywhere. And I have bought a few fake ones and returned them all until I was finally able to get my hands on an original Xenoblade 2 Pro controller. And this video is gonna be a small guide to help you differentiate the fake ones from the original. And that is a hard task because the fake shell is almost exactly identical to the original. If you don't pay attention to small details here and there, you can get fooled pretty easily. The painting is perfect, the colors are perfect, and even the triggers are identical. So let's start showing what the differences are. I won't be comparing the boxes because first, I didn't record the boxes of the fake ones I got before, and second because these boxes have been perfectly copied by now. In fact, the two boxes of the fake Pro controllers I bought before look exactly like this. So looking at the box to differentiate a fake Pro controller from an original one is a bad idea. The first thing is the Nintendo logo. On the original controller, the Nintendo logo is perfect. And on fake Pro controllers, the logo can be slightly off. It's a very subtle difference and it's very hard to differentiate if you don't have the original one. Next, look for small shell imperfections. Here you can see these small defects on the mold, like the plastic has been bent. Also, you can spot some ghosting on the text. Another way to spot a fake controller is doing a scratch test. Pay attention to the sound that it makes when you scratch your nail on it. That's because the emboss on the font is too high. On original shells, the emboss is less pronounced, giving you a quieter sound. And here's the original Xenoblade 2 controller just for comparison. And you can see that the font here has a bevel effect instead, but still the noise is the same. Next tip is to look at the grips of the Pro controller. In fake controllers, the grip is completely uniform. But on original ones, there will be a code on this part of the grips. The code can be different depending on the controller model, but it should be there always. And here's probably the biggest way to differentiate a fake Pro controller from an original one. The buttons on a fake Pro controller are always slightly off. You have to see it really close, but if you pay attention to the letters, you will see that they're not perfect. And the same goes to the D-pad. The arrows are positioned in the middle of each direction. And for comparison, here's the original Pro controller. Can you see how the letters are perfect? Again, here's the fake one. And here's the original D-pad. Look how the arrows are positioned closer to the edge instead of the middle. Here's the buttons of the broken original shell, and here you can see that they are perfect too. And here's the original D-pad of the broken shell too. Again, is a very subtle difference and very hard to notice. The colors of a fake shell are slightly off too. It's a bit washed out on the fake one, but again, if you don't have another Pro controller to compare, it will be pretty hard to spot. Some Pro controllers can have a D-pad without a pivot in the center, especially the earlier models. If your controller does not have a pivot, it doesn't mean it's fake. You can see on this old video from Spawnwave channel where he mentions this.
Forward. But what they have done here is we've talked about the little spike on the bottom, right? These guys here, these actually protrude out. You can kind of see that. The Xenoblade one appears to be slightly longer. than the regular one. Like if you actually take them and put them against each other here, kind of like this, where the spikes are touching away from each other, like offset, the Xenoblade D-pad actually still has space between because the spike is slightly longer. Now what that is going to do is it's going to make connection to the board through the rubber membrane sooner. So when you press down on the center where that spike is located, you can actually see it going through the rubber membrane there, it will hit the board sooner than this one would.
The original one that I have has a pivot in the center. But the thing is, the copies have become so good that this fake copy has a pivot too. And the final way to spot an original Pro controller is by looking at the internal board. It should have HT rumble motors, and it should have this thanks to all game fans here. And the board layout should be exactly like this, with the golden contacts and all. If the board is slightly different like this, then you might have a fake Pro controller. And notice that even on this fake board, it still has the thanks to all game fans text. And that's it for this video. I'm just sharing this because it was very hard to get my hands on an original Xenoblade 2 Pro controller. I had bought it twice, and both of them were fake. I have returned both of them, and then I imported this one from China. And though the fake shell is pretty good, nothing compares to the original ones. The buttons are much softer and much less noisy. I'll be leaving the link of the seller which I got this original one in the description of the video. After the Switch 2 comes out, these controllers will become rare to find, so it's a good idea to pick the controller you want right now. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.